especially when we're on the phones. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. And everything that Gerson was saying about the annuity product and how to implement it into your business and what it does for your business could not be more true. The the opportunity to make, chunky big money that comes with the annuity is just something that creates this massive influx in your business, gives you a little bit of freedom to make some bigger choices with your marketing and all those kinds of things. So it really is something that I highly recommend everyone puts in their business right away. Like, I don't care if you've been on the phone for 10 minutes or 10 years, this should be a part of your book of business. So, how do we do that, right? How do we start putting this into our everyday activity? So, I think one of the things that happens with newer agents or folks that have never sold an annuity before is that they get lost in the idea that this is something complicated, that the product is this massive entity and there's so many different things about it and all those kinds of things. What I want everyone to start thinking about is an annuity is an insurance product. Very similar. It's a contract with guarantees, just like life insurance. So it is not really all that more complicated than that. Your client is going to deposit money. The company is going to give them guarantees. And then when they die or need it, it gets paid out. What else does that? Life insurance. So it's very, very similar. So when you're starting to talk to your clients about the fact that you offer an annuity, that's how you need to think about the product. Can I help them? Or do they have money somewhere that is losing? Can they lose? Even if they're not losing, can they? Or do they have money in a savings account that is not keeping up with inflation because they're getting 0.05% interest? Can I put them in a better position? It's not about how much do I know about the annuity market. It's can I help them? So once you start seeing the opportunities like that, you will start being more confident and comfortable asking. So how many of you guys are using the golden question? You guys know the golden question? What do you have that acts like life insurance? In every single appointment, are you asking that question? Like it needs to be absolute second nature to you in your appointments. And I think what happens a lot of times, and we're learning this as we're starting this, kind of massive annuity push, is we've got a lot of people that will ask that question. We have about 4 people that know what to do after they ask the question. So that's where we come in, is how do we get you from having a client that says, oh yeah, I've got assets in a 401k, or I have an IRA. Yep, it's just for later. How do you get to communicating with them about the annuity? So typically in that space, what you're going to say is you're going to start to alleviate some of the pressure about the conversation. So what that means is you're not going to immediately start targeting the dollar amount that they have in there. You're not immediately going to start saying, did you lose money? What happened? Were you scared? Right? We're not going to fear box it just yet. We're going to give it a second. So we're going to say things like, you say, what do you have that acts like life insurance? Oh, Tiffany, what do you mean by that? And you say, well, anything that, any IRAs, 401ks, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, significant savings, CDs at the bank, anything like that you have set aside for retirement. Okay. You see how I said that? I didn't attack what there is. I didn't ask who manages it. I didn't do any of those things. I'm just getting them to communicate. Okay. So your client says, oh yeah, I've got an IRA. Perfect. Ballpark, what do you keep in there? Ballpark is going to be your favorite word, right? If you say, how much money do you have in there? They will hang up. They will get really uncomfortable and they will wonder why you're asking, right? So ballpark, what do you keep in there? Oh, I don't know. It's about, 250. Oh, perfect. Perfect. And, what do you have that's in the index? Okay. You guys know how to sell IULs, right? You guys know what an index is. You know how an index works. It's a ladder, not a roller coaster. So what do you have in the index? What's the index? Well, one of the accounts that you can gain with the market but never lose. And your client's going to go, wait, that exists? Oh, yeah, yeah. So this is the conversation, guys. So this is our next steps. Once we've found that they have investment, they have something that's worth protecting. Okay. So we're just tipping our toe in the water. Now, what we're kind of focusing on right now with everyone is getting comfortable with this step, getting comfortable with finding out whether or not they have assets, getting comfortable having a very simple conversation, and then transitioning into your next step, which is where you're going to start using your leaders, your annuity leaders. Because at this point, if I were you guys, I would be thinking I was becoming an appointment setter for annuities. That's what I would want because I'm running my life business. I'm busy as hell doing that. I'm, trying to beat my colleagues and get on leaderboards and all that kind of stuff. So I want to keep focusing on that. But what I want to do is add this in. And right now I don't have time because I'm running a very successful life insurance business. I don't have time to become an expert here. What I want to do is learn. So I want to make as many annuity appointments with my leadership staff, with my annuity leadership staff as I can, and then get on those appointments, learn by listening, and then start growing my own knowledge base so I can start closing my own. Does that make sense, you guys? Because if we try to know everything and we try to just look at the comp grid and say, well, I want 100% of the comp instead of, getting help and learning how to do it, you'll fail. That's the reality. I've been in this business for 2 decades now, almost 20 years. That's what happens. So when you open yourself up to just being that person who gets those, you don't have to listen to, 50 annuity presentations before you're doing them on your own. You need to listen to about 4. And then you should be confident enough to start moving on closing. And then knowing when you need help. What we talked about yesterday, I was on a training yesterday and we were asking some folks like, hey, did you implement this week? What happened? And a lot of times, you guys, what happens is you'll get into that conversation, right? You'll get into whether or not they have money and you'll start trying to actually sell and place the product. Well, in the beginning, you don't know a ton. So you're going to lose that business because they're going to start asking you questions that you don't know. You're going to try to answer them with things that maybe are true, aren't true, but you won't have confidence in saying them. And then what happens? You'll lose the client. You won't even get to that second appointment. And that's truly what happens a lot. So what we want is for you to do discovery. Get to know the client, get to know what they worry about if you can. You're talking about life insurance with your clients on the appointment, so you should be able to know what their fear is. Is their fear legacy? Are they worried about the fact that their spouse is going to outlive their money, that they're not going to have money when they die? Do they want their kids to have money? What do they want their assets to look like when they die? That's part of a life insurance sale, right? That's what you're doing anyway. So you should be able to know when you find out whether or not they have funds, you should be able to know that it's about protecting them for them, or that they don't quite have enough income, or that they're retiring in 3 years, right? So those are the things that you want to do in discovery. And then once you do that, say, you know what? I'm sure if I could show you a way, Mary, to capture gains with the market, but never lose a penny, I'm sure you'd be interested. Here's what we're going to do. I don't have a ton of time. I work with a team of experts that specialize solely in this. We do have some availability next week, Tuesday at 2. I'm going to put you on the schedule and we're going to go over what your options may be and see if we can't help. It's that simple. And then you give whatever information. I ran an annuity appointment with a client that we closed just recently, or with an agent that we closed recently, and I had a name and an age. That's all. I didn't know where the money was. We went and we had to backtrack a little bit and do discovery, but we did it. And now, checks are coming their way. And that's what we really want you guys to focus on is how do you have these simple conversations? The annuity works very similar to the IUL as far as the index goes, right? There's a floor, there's a zero, market goes down, they lose nothing. It really is just simply that product on a larger scale and a single premium. So they dump funds in, the market does what it does, it goes up, it goes down. Theirs goes like this, right? It's a stair step instead of a roller coaster. And I tell people that. I'll say things like, man, how did 2008 feel for you? How did that work? Have you recovered? Ugh, I know it was rough for the clients that I work with. Yeah, I know. Just things like that, talking to people on a level that they are confident that you are not just digging into this. The other thing that you guys should start doing is when you introduce yourself to your client on your life insurance sale, you should say, you know, hey, Tiffany, this is Tiffany Grunberg. I'm getting back to you in regards to whatever. I want you to know that I'm licensed for final expense, traditional life insurance, mortgage protection, indexed universal life, and also retirement income planning. So if you have any questions about any of those things, I can help answer them. We're going to focus on the IUL that you requested today. So now I have indicated to them that I'm licensed to be able to answer any questions or help them in all of those realms. So when I start asking them questions about their funds in their 401k, are you still contributing? How do you feel when you lose money? What have you budgeted to lose? They're confident that I'm educated enough to ask them those simple questions. Okay. Are any of you at this point working through just trying to understand the basics of the annuity, or do we have a pretty good concept of what the annuity does for your clients? Because we're not even going to talk about products right now. That's something that comes in training. When you're doing presentations, we talk about what products to use. And by the way, you have a massive staff of people between, SRS and Gavin and myself and all of us out there, plus your annuity companies. They'll run your illustrations for you. They'll help you price the product and pick the product. You guys need to learn the basics. So I think sometimes, that can get really overwhelming for people because they get worried that there's so many products out there and which product is right. And do we do a SPIA? Do we do a growth? Do we do, something with a rider on it? Those are all situational. Those are 1% questions when you get the opportunity. Then they become bigger. So are you guys finding opportunities? Gerson, do you know where are people getting stuck? Do you know?
I
Or
feel
are we
like
just not
most
offering
people are
yet?
just getting stuck in overthinking the product itself,
Yeah.
not totally understanding how it works, and instead of just reaching out, there's like whatever. I mean, that doesn't affect me if I don't ask the right questions. I'll just focus on the life insurance sale. I got the life insurance sale.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. But I feel like it's
Yeah.
just a basic education that we're lacking on annuities, and then just kind of maybe being a little intimidated by larger amounts of money and not
Mhm.
wanting to put someone in a bad position if they don't know everything. But the easiest
Yeah.
solve to that is just reach out to people who do know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think really, I like that explanation because I think you're right. I think people are like, I got the life sale, I'm going to move on, right? So I would tell you, I mean, the numbers look like this. Every 10 appointments you write, you should have one annuity opportunity. I don't care what you're running. That is a real, like when we look at the big statistics and the big numbers, that's what we're finding. We're breaking it down to say every 10 appointments you run, you should be finding one annuity opportunity. Does that mean you're going to write one every 10? No, that means the opportunity is there. So the money's there. And the other thought is you're working with the underserved. If you are placing a life insurance business over the phone, you're working with underserved people. You're working with people that typically don't have a lot of advisory. They don't have people that know a lot of fiduciary situations. So you may be the only one to talk to them about how they can use this product, right? Social Security is the largest annuity on the planet. We put money into it and it guarantees a payment for the rest of our lives. That's an annuity. So if you guys start thinking in basic terms of the annuity product, it will help you think about how easy this product is to place and offer. Okay. The other thing is, I know that we think, we got the annuity business. That's great. I'm just going to give you some numbers. $89,000 is the largest deposit I ever got from one annuity that I wrote.
Okay.
$89,000 was deposited into my bank account from one annuity that I wrote. 67,000 was another deposit that I got from one annuity that I wrote. There's a large difference in the numbers, if that makes sense, right? And I didn't do that after I had been in the business for 20 years. I did that after I had been in the business for 2 years, right? So I think there's like you're stepping over penny or dollars to pick up pennies if you're not adding this into your business. It is not a difficult thing. insurance product. You're licensed to sell insurance. Everyone on here should be licensed to sell insurance. You're missing it if you don't add this as an opportunity. And it's not either or, you guys. It's not. It's not I can either sell life insurance or I can sell annuities. It's both. It should always be both, and it should be both from the get-go. It should be both from the get-go. Your confidence level should be just as high with the annuity because, like Kirsten said, I get it that we get concerned that it's bigger dollar amounts, right? Or we're concerned we're going to put them in the wrong product. If you do this right and you work with your team that's there for you, you can't screw this up. You can't. They write a check, the company guarantees them, and they get their money and it grows. One, two, three. I mean, it's not, you can't screw it up. Okay. And there's a suitability team behind you, not just your frontline defense, which is us, but there's a suitability team behind you at the annuity carriers that's going to say, this is financially sound for this client. This is a good recommendation, or it's not. You cannot screw this up, you guys. We've got to step over the fear and get into making money because it's good for you. It's good for all of us. You know, money makes the world go round. That's how it is. And people are emotional about their money. So when you're talking to your clients and you're talking about their expiration date, they know there's an expiration date for them. They're emotional about their money. So when you say, you know, hey, Mary, you know, we did talk about your IRA that you know, kind of have sitting over there waiting to, you know, help you out. Have you guys talked about how much you've budgeted to lose on that? And your client will say, well, what do you mean? Right? So I'm asking you to be a little bit bold about money. Okay. Well, what do you mean? Well, I'm just saying, you know, when we have funds that are at market risk, you know, the number one cause of poverty in retirement is going to be your market changes, long-term care and market changes. And I'm sure if we could show you a way that you could protect yourself against that, just like we did with your life insurance, you'd be interested. Look, I've got a team. I don't have a ton of time right now because I didn't budget any time for this. But what we're going to do is we're going to get together again next week. I'm going to actually talk with some of our team that's the experts in this world, you know, of retirement, and they're going to get on the call with us, and we'll just talk about what options you may have. And it's just talking to them. Also, Garrison was talking about referrals, right? Life insurance referrals are awesome, right? It's free lead. Love it. All day, every day, you should be asking for referrals, right? Do you like what I did for you today? Do you have anybody else that you can think of that could use my help, right? I have written about almost $3 million in annuity money just from one circle of influence that I met on an annuity. Those were free leads, but I wrote 3 million between, I think, 6 people. She was retiring from her company. She worked at Xerox forever. She was retiring from her company. They were offering severance and early retirement to a massive amount of people. And I think I wrote 6 to 8 of them. I just wrote 200 grand for a friend of that group about 3 months ago. So it's a never ending referral cycle with this thing, right? People come into money. And you guys got to understand too, as their life insurance agent, when your clients come into money, you need to be the first one that they call when they come into money. And if you've never told them that you deal with money or protecting money, they won't know to call you when they get a $200,000 inheritance. And I've written a lot of that too, right? You need to be their person. Financially, you need to be their person, right? You're not an FA. You don't have a 663 or 7. Nobody's asking you to say that you do. What we're asking you to do is talk to people about the fact that you can help them. You're their person, right? Also, the other thing that I'm going to ward you off from in the very beginning is please don't say the word annuity too many times, or really at all in the beginning. The term annuity comes with a negative connotation that's built back into the 90s, right? So 80s and 90s, where they were just absolutely crap products. They were all VAs and we just couldn't do anything about it, right? So when you say the term annuity, Bob's uncle has said they were bad and that's all they know. So what you typically say is retirement vehicles. You say terms like a way to protect your assets. You say, have you thought about using a vehicle that bypasses probate if they're worried about their kids? These are terms that you use in the beginning. Now, on your next appointment, we will use the term annuity and we won't hide behind it. But in the beginning, if you want to continue these conversations, you're going to use different terms. Okay. This is not a bait and switch in any capacity. That's not what I'm saying that you do. It's a conversation starter. And the term annuity sometimes comes with that negativity. Other people will go, "Oh, I've got an annuity." And you say, "Great. How's that been treating you?" Yeah. There's a lot of big differences in some of the older annuities. What we typically do is a free service where we compare what you have and what's out there. I'm sure you'd be interested. Let's set up a time to do that with our team. Okay. It's simple conversations that you want to start having. And the other thing I would recommend to all of you, and we can jump over to questions too here in a minute. I would recommend you all learn simple monetary terms. Okay. The terms you're going to be working with. I need you to understand and not understand them, but have a basic knowledge of what a 401k is, what an IRA is, what the difference of non-qualified money, meaning post-tax dollars, savings accounts, and CDs. You don't need to go into 403Bs, 502 sheltered TSAs. You don't need to do any of those things. I'm just asking you to learn those 5 terms. Okay. Because I think what happens a lot, and I've seen this and watched it with my agency, is someone says 401k, IRA, some term about money, and you don't know what it is, so you stop asking questions because you feel like you're going to get cornered into a situation where you're uneducated and you're going to look stupid, right? So learn those terms. Learn what an IRA is. Learn that it's an individual retirement account that is pre-taxed dollars. So it's never been taxed. I'm not asking you to become accountants either, but your clients will want you to know that basic information. Okay. So learn those terms. It was really when I started, by the way, the first piece of insurance I ever wrote was an annuity. I came from the captive world. We learned every product the same. Everyone had the same amount of importance. So we just knew we had to write something. And I sat down with a client and she had about, I think it was $40,000 in CDs at the bank that were earning 1%. And I knew I could do better. So that's what we did. Honestly, it was the first piece of business I ever wrote because I knew I could do better. I could help her. If the market was 0 and the next year it was 2%, she still did as good as her CD, right? It's just math, simple math. So don't be afraid of the product. Really, really learn that it is just a protected vehicle where your clients can earn money. Now, is this going to be the product for the guy who's like, I have 2 FAs and my attorney handles all my finances? Probably not. Move on with your day. Don't get tied up in that kind of crap. Just move on, right? The clients that you're looking to help are John and Mary who don't know what to do with their money and they lost 20% last year and they paid 2.5% to their advisor and they're distributing, at 3% a year, 4% a year. That's the person because they can't afford to lose any money. You also, these are terms too, I would recommend you guys put into your conversations with your clients. You want to tell your clients, look, my job is to help your money work as hard for you as you did to earn it. My job is to make sure that every penny that you've earned and put away for your future is always your money. Okay? Things like that those little, that terminology that you guys can start implementing into your daily conversations with your life sales is going to change everything about your business. And again, those big deposits, right? Those, even if it's like 8 grand, 12 grand, right? That's nothing to scoff at, right? How many pieces of business do you got to write to get there? Quite a few, right? So it really is it's implementing it. It's removing the fear, right? And again, I'm not asking any of you to walk away from a life sale for an annuity. Please don't do that. You will go broke and you will starve to death. So don't do that. What you need to do is make it a part of your life, make it a part of your everyday conversations and watch how it changes your business. Write the life insurance. When you find out they have money, when you ask the golden question and you find out they have an IRA or 401k and there's a conversation to be had, you say, you know what? I want to talk to you guys about that. I only have a limited amount of time today and I didn't budget it to talk about your retirement. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to focus on getting you taken care of and getting your family protected with your life insurance or index universal life, whatever the product is you're writing. And we're going to come back to that. We're going to set an appointment where we can go over how we can help protect you. Write the business, ask for the life business, come back. Because here's the thing, if they trust you with their life and business, you're 50% of the way to your annuity sale. They already trust you. They gave you their information, right? So that's a huge part. Secondary business and the complexity and the reality of these not charging back is real. I know it sounds like everybody's blowing smoke because life insurance charges back. That's part of our business, and you better get prepared for it because it happens, right? You can be absolutely amazing at this and still have chargebacks. It happens. People change their mind. Life changes, what have you. But the annuity market, it really doesn't work that way. It really doesn't work that way. If your clients are not going to commit to you, if they do not trust you enough to move forward, you will know that before that check is cut to you. And I think there's a massive amount to be said for that, right? Let's say the biggest difference between an annuity and an IUL is the death benefit. An IUL is a typically monthly funded product that has a large death benefit, right? It's leveraged. It's a life insurance leverage. Annuities don't do that. Annuities, you have the big deposit, right? The fund deposit, and then they grow, slowly over time, very similar to the internal workings of an IUL, that index that you use inside to earn cash value. That's the difference, right? And then when they die, it's just whatever it's grown to that pays out. So it's not quite as big of a leverage product as the IUL. Do you use the preset options or do you go through individual indexing and put the percentage? I'm a big fan of presets. I let the smart people do the work, right? I didn't used to do the presets because I thought I knew more than the, thousands of annuity experts that work at the annuity companies. And I started using the presets about a year and a half ago. My clients are averaging upwards of, over 10% right now. So I'm gonna do that. It splits it up. And by the way, that's a secondary question, right? That's for someone who's looking at building illustrations and such. So yeah, inform the uninformed. Guys, that's serious. Like I've sat down at tables where I met with a couple, I'll tell you, terrible scenario. This is why you have to do your jobs. This is why I feel very passionate about the annuity market. I sat down with a couple, they were over the age of 79 and 81, I think. And they were desperate to find some way to protect each other if they die or when they die, right? Because it's not an if, it's a when. They had about $1.6 million at one point in time. They were sitting in a very small apartment in a not very great part of the area that I live in. And I said, what happened? And he looked at me and he said, our advisor went to Greece. And I said, what? He said, in 2008, we were very, very aggressive with our money. We were making money. We were very aggressive. When the market started to fall, I called my advisor and said, I want out. Put me in cash. Give me the opportunity to protect what I have. His advisor was in Greece. He got back 3 weeks later. They had lost $480,000. 480 because they were so invested in things that were high risk. He retired a year later and they had to live off that and it was gone. It was gone. Sold the house, did all the things. She got sick, needed help and care around the house. If he would have had anyone talk to him about the annuity, their life would be very different at 81 and 79 years old. This is your responsibility. Like, I want you to take it serious. I want you to have these conversations because that's somebody's parents, that's somebody's grandparents. And they lost everything because their financial advisor went to Greece and didn't answer the phone for 2 weeks. That's the reality. Serve the underserved, man. It's profitable for you and it makes you sleep really good at night. I love what I do, man. I love it. I love it. Um, uh, that's a good question, DJ. The question is, if a client is still contributing to a 401k, can they move it? Right? That's situational. Continue to have the conversation, call your team because a lot of companies that you're still contributing to, you can distribute, it's called the early distribution, and you can distribute 50, 75% of it, sometimes the whole thing. So don't walk away from contributing 401ks. It's a good question. Just move them on to your next step, right? Set that appointment, be an appointment setter. Um, yeah. Yep. Um, so how soon can you start getting distributions after an annuity? These are questions that you're going to want to ask once you place an annuity, right? Or once you're picking a product. So for this training, I will tell you, this is all information that you can find out. Each product is different though. So you just work situationally with your team and they will help you pick the right product. If it's a product that, your client needs money right away, we'll pick the right product. If it's not, if they can sit for 2, 3, 5 years, then we'll look at different products. So that's a situational question. It's a good one. But once you get the situation in hand, you'll learn it. And the more presentations you do on these guys, the more you're going to learn about the products. So once you get confident in finding the money, then we're going to challenge you guys to start learning a little bit more product knowledge, right? But for now, I think we're all on that level where, you write the right, you find the money and you use your tools. I think that's really, really, really important. I think there are better out there, Veronica, by by mountains. So I'll say that. Um, what are the most common types of rebuttals? I think the most common, like objections, I would say is probably what you're asking. I Because of the way that you can approach the annuity opportunity, I don't think you're going to get a lot of objections. Okay. The objections that you're going to get is, why do you need to know that? Okay. If I'm doing a life insurance sale and somebody says to me, why do you need to know that? I'm going to say, look, my license is on the line and I really like helping people. So it's important for me to get a good picture of what happens when you don't walk in the door. And I can't do that if I don't know that there are other assets out there that might be passing over to your family. I don't want to make an uneducated recommendation to you. That's why we ask these questions. I just disarmed it, right? I'm not being combative. I'm not expecting, and I don't, after I say that, you guys, I don't hear a lot more objections. I really don't. If you present it correctly, you can remove the objections before you get them. And I think that's very much the best way that you can do that, is take it away, right? Take it away before it even gets there. Look, I want to make an educated recommendation because it's my license on the line and I like helping people. So I do have to ask, what do you have in other assets? 401ks, IRAs, anything like that's going to pass to your family when you pass away. Right. So, I typically, yeah, Garrison's right. F&G, NLG, and Athene, they're just going to be your best carriers. I mean, Athene carries the #1 annuity product in the country. So I mean, why not work with the best? I would say. I'm a huge fan of F&G though. But again, it's situational. I'm going to write the right product for my client, and it doesn't matter what the initials or the name of the company is. So I think that's important. Anybody else have anything, any other thing you want to go over, Pearson?
Yeah, Tiffany, I had a
Yeah,
couple more questions. Um,
sure.
you answered the one about getting distributions, and you mentioned tax deferred accounts like a 401k or a Roth, or I'm
Mhm.
sorry, IRA. Are they
Yep.
annuities also suitable for a Roth or
Yeah.
not? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yep. It would be, the money doesn't change, Brian. So what that means is if it is an IRA, it becomes an IRA annuity. If it's a Roth IRA, it becomes a Roth IRA annuity. The money itself does not change. It is
Oh,
like to like as a distribution.
okay. And then the last one, are these all single deposits or can you deposit over time?
So most of the products we work with are single premium. They
Okay.
are lump sum, just single premium annuities. There are some flex premium annuities out there. I know that I want to say F&G has a pretty good one. But I would tell you that depending on health, the IUL might be a better route for them if you can leverage the death benefit. So flex premiums are available, but we stick pretty much to the single premium.
Just to add on top of that, F&G definitely does have a good annuity where it's kind of flexible. NLG does as well. What I've had to do in the past is I've had to pivot to the fit secure growth on NLG because someone got denied an IUL on NLG and they wanted the account like just specifically for retirement funds. So we were able to get them the fit secure growth instead. It was like 750 a month. We're just gonna still put into that. The only difference with that and the IUL was IUL had that whole death benefit attached to it. And that would have allowed his money to grow tax free instead of tax deferred. He can access it tax free. The annuity side would just the death benefit would just be however much money he accumulates. So as time goes on, 9,000 a year, 9,000 a year, and it compounds, that would be his death benefit accumulating over time. And it wouldn't grow tax. He couldn't access it tax free anymore. It would just be tax deferred growth, taxable on income. But he still is going to get his, a solid retirement account set up without worrying about losing anything.
Yeah, when health isn't an issue, that's a fantastic pivot. Because I mean, the a lot of times if people are wanting to put bigger deposits in the IUL, it's because they like the idea of the index and the cash value growth. So if if they don't need the leverage, it's perfect. It's a great product. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone have any other questions at all? Can you roll over an existing annuity? Absolutely.
Yeah. hmm Yeah, those are, I mean, they already bought an annuity. Why not? There's different, rules to make it suitable. But again, find those and let your team help you figure out what the next steps are. Because yeah, that's great. Those are awesome.
Awesome. Does anyone have any other questions?
Yeah,
If
I got a
not,
question.
awesome.
So like, it's a new concept and everything. So how exactly are annuities? How much are you needing to put in for like a basic annuity or just to start off? And like, how does it
So
work?
typically your carriers are between 5 and 10 grand. It depends on the carrier. But normally it's between 5 and 10 to start.
Okay. And then usually how does that work? Just like 10 years in there or till they die, they just get the money to the kids or how would that
So,
like,
so what I would focus on, Victor, is if someone has funds, right, over five that they're either concerned about losing money on, they're not earning enough money on, or they just need a place to put it, then at that point, what I would say is you need to learn the basics of annuity, which are one, it grows. It's a tax deferred product, right? So it grows. It's a growth product. Um, it bypasses any kind of probate when they die, right? And it goes directly to a named beneficiary. So those are the three working aspects of the annuity. It's going to grow. It's going to grow at a tax deferred basis, and it's going to go to their named beneficiary. Those are the basics of the product. And if they want something that does those things, then you've got the ticket and they'll find the product, you'll find the product with your team.
okay, so basically just there's not like a specific 10-year or 20-year and then they get the money back or anything like that. Just
No,
depends.
because the product there's different contract levels. There's 5-year annuities, there's 7-year annuities, there's, 10-year annuities, 15. There's 15-year contracts out there. So it just depends on what's right for the client, and that's going to be a situational scenario.
Okay.
So for you, like your goal is just to talk about that on your second and third appointment during your presentation. In the beginning, you're not going to talk about the contract levels or time constraints on those. They'll know once you start talking to them more in depth. But in the beginning, when you're just finding money, that's not a conversation that you'll have until your second sit down.
Okay, thank you.
I think sometimes that's frustrating for people because they're like, wait, I want to tell them everything about the product right when I start talking about it. But that typically that's not, how it works. That's when you break down and you can show them an illustration, because you guys got to understand, you want to combat the pros and cons. You want to have something concrete in front of them that they can look at, like an illustration. When you say, hey, this is going to, we're going to have a surrender structure on this for the next 10 years, but you should earn more in the first 3 years that you own this than you would ever pay in surrender if you were to take all the funds out after year 3, right? So you want to be able to show that on paper. You don't want to tell them that because they're going to get confused, and confused people do nothing. They just stop having conversations with you. So that's why I know that can be frustrating, because I know when I was learning them, I'm like, I want to know everything. But once I let go of that and just learned, basics is when I really started placing a lot of annuity business.
Hey, Tiffany, I had a question for you.
Sure.
So when it comes to contacting the SRS, whenever you do schedule an appointment, because I had a new agent that scheduled an appointment this morning, how is it that you would get in contact with them?
So it really is, I think what the SRS is doing now is they're kind of broadening out a little bit and allowing people the opportunity to, if they need to reach out individually, you can do that. You can reach out to John. You can reach out to myself. You can reach out to the team at your agency, right? When you go into SRS, you can click the, I'm actually on, hold on, let me log in because I can't think of what it's called right now. Ask a specialist, right? You can click on the Ask a Specialist. There's a little survey that they put in to give you an opportunity to share with you the circumstances of the appointment, and then they'll assign someone to you. If your client is antsy and you can't wait to go through that SRS system or process, what have you, I would reach out to Garrison and the team there, and they'll get you somebody to help you right away. I think that's a really good opportunity too.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany.
You're welcome. Yeah, you guys listen. I promised you I have watched this business for, like I said, a long time. The biggest failure is not asking about whether or not you can help the client with money. And the other is thinking you can do it alone. Just learn. And if it takes a couple of comp points to pay somebody to teach you, do it. Because 100% of zero, still zero, right? So that's going to be my parting advice. Use the help. It's there for you.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for hopping on with us, Tiffany. If anyone else has any questions, reach out to me. I'll make sure I answer any questions you got. But Tiffany, this was very informative. I took a whole bunch of notes here. I really like that my job is to help your money work as hard as you did to earn it. I think that line is going to make me a lot of money. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's super powerful. That's a good one.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hopping on. Tiffany, this is very awesome. I know a lot of us got so much value from this. So the biggest thing, guys, is we need to implement everything we're learning here, right? This is very cool stuff. It's got me fired up. But if I just go into my sits now and don't ask the golden question, I don't ask what they have as life insurance. I don't ask, if how much of that they're willing to lose. If I don't ask these questions to actually get down to the bottom line of getting someone on the phone for an annuity sale, then it's all a big waste of time this past 45 minutes or so. So make sure we didn't waste this time. Make sure you implement it. I'm gonna upload all these recordings into a YouTube channel over the next day or two. So I'm gonna give you guys access to all of these recordings. I've been slacking on that, but I appreciate you guys regardless. If you need anything, let me know. and I'll see you guys next Tuesday. So thank you guys so much, and God bless you.
Thanks, guys. See ya.